Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for coming out and joining us on another episode of The Color of Truth. So today we are going to be talking about child protective services and are they really protecting our children the way that they say they are? Um, Before we get started, I am going to say hello to my lovely co-host. Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Working hard, that's about it.
All
And
right.
Nisa looks like she's doing great too.
Hey, turn up, turn up. And
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It is not Friday yet.
I know, but it's like Friday Eve.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely
It's
Friday.
almost the weekend. But I'm doing excellent other than that because I can't wait.
Would you say one more day? One more day.
But school is back at it, man. School is back full force. It's live. So yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Gotta love the kids, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, speaking on
I wish
kids,
CPS loved the kids, but go ahead.
on everything, I
Say
was just
that.
ready to say it. Like speaking on these kids. So, why is it that the people that are supposed to be protecting our kids when they don't have anybody else to care for them are not caring for them? They're not caring for them properly. Um, and in a future episode, because this is the first time we're having this conversation about children's services, but we do have someone that is going to come on and talk about children's services and how the process works, um, and help us to be able to understand, because from my understanding, the things that we're going to talk about today is not the totality of the situation. There are some underlying things that go on in children's services that cause them to have to be the way that they are. So you guys can be the judge. I'm not here. We're not here to judge anybody or talk down on the system at all. We're just
I'm
talking
judging.
different.
I'm sorry. I'm judging. But you go right on ahead.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about some of the issues that have presented themselves when it comes to taking care of our children. And yeah, kids are sick of school already. That's funny. And it's
Yes.
been 2 days.
They already giving me excuses.
There you go.
Huh?
Yeah, some of
They
them did.
just got in school. How they sick of it already?
Some of them
Girl,
been here for 2 weeks.
listen.
The fights done already started. The lunch has been coming in late. The kids is hungry. It's hot. It's cold. It's
That part.
See, that's
all.
Hello.
because they was on summer vacation all of 2020 and most of 2021.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that the school that wasn't taking care of. They was on strike here in Ohio, and kids wasn't even in
I
school.
heard. I heard about that. That the teachers went on strike
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
about the school conditions or whatever. I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
The school
So they
conditions.
just now trying to rectify it and make it right. Apparently, the kids gonna get the opportunity to be able to go to school here on Monday, but a lot of them had to go to charter schools or go to school online in order to be able to get the education they needed for the last couple of weeks because they were not giving it out. What?
Yes. Charter school. Charter school. Come on by. Charter schools. There's nothing wrong with them. But yeah, kids give you excuses already. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, my back hurt. Oh, I'm tired. They give you all the excuses now. You'd be like, dang, this is only the second day. They already ready to go home after lunch. So yeah, we hear a lot about it. But like y'all said, me personally, I love the kids. I take care of them kids. I tell all the parents it takes a village, period, point blank. Um, I am the family and community liaison of a charter school here in Ohio. So I make sure I assist with all the social services and resources that they may need in order to, just make sure that they have a healthy mind, body, and soul ready to go to school, pretty much. That holistic approach and making sure that, parents got that assistance as well. So, yeah, I totally understand. And we also do home checks. And our caseloads is just as big. So I do want to point that out because I do know that a lot of CPS services is their caseload is large. So, yeah, mine's is too. I make it happen, though. I'm just saying. But yeah, back to that CPS situation.
I
Uh,
know you love the kids. You the neighborhood candy lady.
You you know it. I'm the
oh,
big kid of the big kids for real.
ain't that the truth? It's funny. We were just talking about that in the summer camp program. I had Nisi come over to help me. Actually, no, she was just supposed to be coming to visit, and she ended up making me uh let her
Doing,
take the kids back down there so that we wouldn't have to walk.
doing
But
what I need to do. Doing what I need to do.
half the
Yeah.
kids knew Miss Nisi. They screaming, "Hi, Miss Nisi!" I'm like, "How y'all know my sister?"
They're my babies.
They like, she teach at our school.
They're my
I got
babies.
half of my summer camp kids,
That's what's up.
but
Hey,
some of
gotta
those
be
kids them been in the system already themselves. Some of them is going through issues with children's services right now. Have caseworkers. Once they open up a case on you, you have to go through at least 30 days with
hmm
children's services before they decide to go through. They come through, they check out your house, see if you're what they consider to be fit, and then if you are in that 30-day period, then they let you. They'll close the case out. They ask you whatever it is that you need while they have you. They'll help you in many different ways. Anything that they can get through the government, through city programs, any of that kind of stuff, they will help you to be able to get it while you're in their caseload. Once you're done, then you're done.
Oh, excuse me, y'all. The dog is beating me up. He just knocked
Did you
me down.
I definitely thought she fell.
He did just knock me down. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Y'all go ahead. My bad.
Remind me to clip this at 8 minutes.
Don't be rude.
I'm
Damn,
gonna,
dog just knocked me all the way down. I'll be back, y'all. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need that blooper. I'm gonna need that. So, in order to, I know that there's a lot of issues when it comes to children's services all over the world, but I definitely, for a certainty, here in Columbus, there's a lot of issues that they have with taking care of our kids, which is another reason why I said we would bring on somebody from children's services locally here that will have the opportunity to be able to talk about their program and help shed some light so that we can get them on to the show so we can talk about why, just why, just why. Seriously, because there's a lot of things that they can control and they are not controlling in the right way. So, in order to get us started, I know that this first video, um, children's services video, we're gonna look at some videos, some clips um, of different children's services stories and issues that they've had. Sorry, I had
Wow.
that I could read the chat. That's crazy.
5. Yeah, and a lot of them are. A lot of them are.
Just trying to be able
And,
to
and,
get
and you know what? To me, and after we go through these stories, we'll talk about it. But to me, it seems like they focus more on the ones that are unsubstantiated than the ones that are, you know what I'm saying?
actually
Than the
need.
ones that actually have some substance. I've always said they don't save the children who really need to be saved.
That's true. I agree. I had a personal experience with children's services. Well, a couple actually. My first time dealing with children's services, my daughter had got in trouble at home. She was in the kindergarten, and she went to school, and the teacher asked her why she was having some issues in class that day, and she said she had got in trouble. She had got a whooping, and she told him that I had beat her with a spoon. I used to have this little wooden spoon that I used to pop her legs and stuff with. Um, but the teacher called children's services and told them that I had stuck the spoon in her.
What?
That part. So when they came to my house, the lady and at the time I had 4 kids. So when they came to my house, the first issue that I had with them was the fact that if one of my kids came in and they told you that I did something that I wasn't supposed to them, why would you just want to take that one child? Like, let's have that conversation first. Because if I'm a parent,
Mhm.
messed up parent, and I'm doing something I don't have no business, why is it that you only coming in here to save one child? And she's like,
Right.
that's the child that called, but there's 3 other ones in here.
But if you're a danger to children, then you're a danger to children.
Okay. And I'm like, first of all, I would never do anything to intentionally harm near one of my children because I'm a good mom and I wouldn't hurt them intentionally. She got in trouble because whatever it was that she did, she deserved to get in trouble for, right? But um, they had opened up the case for 30 days. That's how I know about them helping and giving you whatever it is that you need, because a friend of mine had told me that she had some issues with children's services before too, and they had bought her kids brand new stuff and beds and stuff like that. So when the lady came and we had this whole issue, and then they, because they took her to the doctor's office and they tested her, like they wouldn't let her ride in the car with me, but then all my other kids get to get in the car with me. So we was having, like, y'all, it's pitiful.
That's
Okay.
crazy. That's crazy.
How? But okay, we ended up going. They ended up testing her and everything, and then find out that it wasn't true. And then they let me. So they let me take her home from the children's services building. but
But you got lucky though, because a lot of kids don't get to come back home. Even though there were false allegations, false reports of neglect or abuse, a lot of kids don't get to come back home. A lot of them get stuck in the system.
Yeah. See, I didn't have that problem. I ended up they closed my case so fast because, like I said, my friend had told me that they give out all kinds of stuff. So when I got my list together of stuff.
Not you got a list.
Oh yeah, I got my list together. Didn't you hear me say I had 4 kids? It's just me. And yeah. So I got my list together because y'all came over here harassing me. So now we need this, and this. And they need some clothing vouchers. And we need some what you say, you got some gift cards? Well, yeah, we need that. And I need and they need some shoes and they need some beds. As a matter of fact, I think the dresser drawer handle fell off. So yeah, we need
a whole dresser.
So by the time they finish furnishing my kid, refurnishing my kids' rooms and getting them a new wardrobe and some new shoes, they hurried up and put me out their program.
Like this woman right here.
Another thing.
Right. Not for everything. Wait a minute.
Learn the system and learn how to use it to your benefit.
With everything. And y'all, and my case wasn't warranted. Y'all came over here harassing me. That's what I told the lady. Y'all came over here harassing me, ma'am.
I need this done, ma'am. Here go my list. I'll be at home waiting.
Need my whole list.
What time you need me here? I'll be here for the delivery. Thank you.
So, wait a minute. I had too many. Let's see if I can get this done, y'all.
All right, we're going to test out this struggle stream.
Real quick, real fast. Let's see if
she sure did, Savannah, and I ain't mad at her.
It was real.
It was like,
yeah, I don't ever mad at you.
Look, they see her name, they be like, we ain't going to her. She got all that stuff, man. Listen, bet we don't. Next client, listen, it's okay. Listen, we ain't gonna even say nothing to her. We'll look, nah, she good. Check her off. Mm-hmm. Don't go by her house.
Like as much as possible, okay?
You struggling, Roxy?
You don't see it? No.
See what?
Yeah, I don't see
okay,
it.
It's coming up.
Oh,
it's coming up.
Okay.
Oh, so this is the Texas story.
Yes.
So yeah, this one's interesting. So do you want to read it first and then play the video? Because the video is just of the actual CPS worker that was filmed by the 14-year-old girl.
Oh, yep.
So we can go through the story and then play the video.
So yeah, so this first story we're gonna talk about is a epic fail on children's services part. They did not alert the court systems about the video they had of the state employee telling the little 14-year-old girl that she needed to become a prostitute in order to get the things that she needed. So before we play the video, um, we'll start by finding out about Miss Keisha Baisley. She went to Children Protective Services. She was a mom of 9 kids, and then she had a child that had some behavioral problems. So she went to Children's Services thinking she was going to be able to um, get some assistance. And I guess the daughter of this lady recorded this Children's Services worker telling the girl told her that she was hungry, and the worker told her that she needed to just become a prostitute in order to be able to get some food. Apparently, the worker told her that that was how she could make money. She used to do it, and she could do the same thing.
So because you was selling ass, you gonna advise a 14-year-old to sell some ass?
Yes, I don't understand how she decided that she was going to. I wouldn't have told her that to begin with, even if that's what you were doing.
First of all, yes.
But that's another problem I have. So now we're talking about the employment of this individual, somebody who used to be a prostitute. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people don't fall on hard times. I'm not saying that sometimes we don't struggle and sometimes we do the best we can with what we have. But I've never struggled to the point that I've needed to go out on the corner and sell my body. I don't know what kind of struggle you have to be in. I'm not judging nobody, but I just don't know what kind of struggle you have to be in to do it. There are too many other ways to make money than to be standing outside on the corner. So when she was hired, what kind of background checks are being conducted at CPS when they hire these employees? Because if you're hiring somebody who was a street worker and apparently she was proud of it, what kind of message do you think that sends to the kids, or what credentials did she have to be caring for other children?
She was probably most likely carrying her social worker degree. Just because she did that in the past, she probably never brought it up, but her personal experience really had nothing to do with the child asking or needing, it has nothing to do with her job, especially something like that. That's nothing to brag about. That's nothing to...
But all the employees at CPS don't have social services degrees. Some of them have nutritional degrees.
Some of them have early childhood degrees. Most of them probably have like a bachelor's in something of sort. Bachelor's of Science, Bachelor of Human Services, something with social services, something within that, psychology, sociology, something in that nature for them to be in case management. So, I mean, again, she was probably younger, but her life story had nothing to do with her business. I mean, working.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, how do you justify CPS knowing that this incident happened? During the same time, they were trying to get this story taken out of the courts or whatever, and they never volunteered to tell them that this video existed of this caseworker telling a 14-year-old child to go prostitute themselves. So even if you didn't know about her past, because you don't always know about everybody's past, I'll give you that. Say you didn't. The fact that they knew this video existed, and you're sitting up in court trying to get this case dismissed, and you failed to divulge this information.
Yeah, they was wrong on all.
So that would make me think that even if they did know that she used to be a prostitute, they wouldn't have gave a damn, because they didn't give a damn that she advised the 14-year-old child to go to be a prostitute
until the mom brought it up to their attention, which she then got fired, right?
And had it not been for the child having sense enough to have that phone in her pocket and record that conversation, none of this would have ever happened. They would have said it was a lie. It didn't happen. Our social workers don't do that. They'd have swept it under the damn rug.
Yes, they would have. But now in new technology, 21st century, we got phones. We're recording. People recording everything anybody do, to laugh, to look at, to get likes or whatever. So yeah. That baby made sure she was like, okay, let me have this conversation with this lady. And the lady was totally wrong. That's how she got dismissed.
Yeah, but DFPS was fully aware of the video, and they just failed to bring it up in court while trying to dismiss this case. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why they wanted to dismiss it. Just like you, Roxy, when you were using them for the services they were supposed to be providing, oh, we don't want to deal with this.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Even that if you were a threat to the child, we don't want to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that y'all were trying to dismiss this case makes me believe that the reason why you wanted to have the case dismissed was because you knew this video existed and you wanted to sweep the shit under the rug.
Exactly. I agree.
And hurry up and sweep it under.
Right.
Yeah. So the little girl ended up being in a foster home. Hold on, I'm gonna go back so I can play this video. That's the second video that I seen where they said that they was disappropriately taking more beautiful kids away from their parents than
Oh
they
yeah, we got one of those too.
Who else wants to get a brand new metal roof installed? Click below and enter your zip code to check availability. Local residents whose homes meet
metal
certain...
roof. We didn't want it.
And only on Fox tonight, Child Protective Services fires an employee caught on camera telling a 14-year-old girl in foster care to be a prostitute. But that state agency said nothing about the video's existence during a recent court hearing. Fox 26's Randy Wallace joins us live from downtown with that exclusive. Randy?
Yes, Sherman, you would think the judge overseeing the 14-year-old girl's custody case would need to know about the cell phone video, but apparently CPS didn't think so.
She's a mother of 9, and she does have a daughter who has had some behavioral problems.
That's why Keisha Basley turned to Child Protective Services. But then her 14-year-old daughter told her when she told a CPS employee she was hungry, that worker told her to become a prostitute. The daughter recorded the CPS worker on her cell phone.
Because the worker had been, in fact, telling her this is how you can make money. You need to do this. I used to do this, and you could do the same thing.
You're basically telling a child that lives in a hotel.
Roxy, you're muted.
$1,500 a day if you're a prostitute.
Right, and also if you want to.
When I saw the video with the lady, it's like my soul left my body.
I think that they're threatening. Guys, the head of CPS has apologized about this. What they didn't do was tell the court that's dealing with this case.
OMG.
That's what's going on. Yesterday, they asked the court to dismiss this case.
Attorney Mike Snyder says Thursday, CPS was hoping to dismiss the case and get the 14-year-old girl out of the state's care. That didn't happen. The girl is now living in a foster home instead of a hotel.
You don't have a therapist. They don't have a therapist. You don't want them.
The fact that they don't think it's relevant that their own agency is trying to prostitute a child, that's incredibly disingenuous to have a hearing and not bring that to the court's attention.
Now, CPS sent us a prepared statement. DFPS is aware of the video and has taken action. The person in the video, who was employed as CPS support staff, was dismissed from her position August 10th. The safety and appropriateness with which children in care must be treated is our paramount concern. Nothing less will be tolerated. Reporting live from downtown, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
Now, I don't think them firing her had anything to do with the actions that she took. I think it had everything to do with the fact that that video existed and they knew it was going to be released.
But also she was a support staff. So
right.
She
what a lot of people, if in case you didn't hear it, because there was some technical difficulties, what she actually told the girl was, if you're going to be a hoe, be a real hoe.
That's what I wanted everybody to hear. Yes.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a hoe, be a real
Be a
hoe.
real
So
hoe.
I guess, you know, the girls that they had them stashed up in a hotel. I don't know if that was like a hotel that they considered like a group home type of thing. I have no idea. But apparently the girl was engaging in sexual activities. I'm guessing, because for the woman to say, if you're gonna be a hoe, be a real hoe. So I guess she's saying, if you're gonna be sexually active, you might as well make money doing it. And I'm sorry, you
Right.
just don't.
But that
you
doesn't
don't
necessarily
advise.
mean that the baby was actually, you know, having sex. She could be not having sex. And the way the lady is saying is, I know
But for
that
her to say, if you're gonna be a hoe, be a real hoe, where did the first hoe come from? I was thinking that maybe she knew that maybe the girl was sexually active. I mean, it happens. It's 14-year-olds that are sexually active, voluntarily sexually active. So I'm thinking that maybe that part of the conversation, maybe it did happen. And so her thinking that she's giving some
hoe
advice.
Hoe advice.
Right. Right.
Giving hoe advice.
You want to sit up here and tell a girl, if you're going to be a hoe, be a real hoe. Because when I told my mama that I was sexually active as a teenager, she did not say, well, you better make money while you laying on your back. That's not advice you give a child that's sexually active.
Not at all.
That part.
For a caseworker to tell a child to perform pay for sex services is a disgrace. A total disgrace.
Not only is it disgraceful for her to tell her that, but in the situation that she was in, because I tell you I'm hungry, now all of a sudden I got to give my body away in order to be able to get a meal from you, and you're supposed to be protecting our family. You know my mama got 9 kids. Like,
right.
You know, we've been out here struggling.
He has for 9 kids.
This is what you tell my child. I mean, she better be glad that the mom ain't come and find her.
It ain't over yet. I'm just saying.
She was
I like that child predator
That's
services.
not even tough love. That's disrespect. Because my thing is, you don't tell a child if you're gonna be a hoe, be a good hoe or a real hoe. No.
Not when you work for child protective services. It's child protective services. You're supposed to be protecting children. It's literally in your description and job title. You work for child protective services, but you're advising children to lay on their back and make $1. So you basically advise this child to go stand outside on the corner and sell her ass.
For a burger, though.
Right.
And some fries.
She asked her to smash for a sandwich. Like,
and fries.
But meanwhile, fathers who want to be in their children's lives can't. But a CPS worker can be in the care and custody of your children, and they're advising them to go sell ass on the corner. Government services.
And not feeding them.
And they're right.
And that's another thing. Why was the child hungry? If she was under child protective services, why was the child hungry in the first place?
That part.
And then on top of that, why don't you get her some food? That's the whole part of being a support staff. That was your whole.
Aren't they supposed to be providing those services?
Exactly.
So why, if the child is telling you she's hungry, why were services not provided to feed the child, as opposed to you telling the child to get outside on a corner?
Sell a little something, something, shake a little something, something.
There's the CPS and DFPS all day.
Mm-hmm. So what's that other one looking like?
Hold on.
Which one's next?
Look, let me get us to our next video. Okay.
I don't even think.
Which one you pulling up?
Training.
It is. It looked like it's previewing. I don't know why mine's
Do you think it's a lack of training, Nisi?
Yeah, she's a support staff.
Okay.
She didn't even get
that.
that.
What is the role? What is the role of a support staff in CPS?
Assist in case management, such as providing food, clothing, any type of. That's what I say. Her whole job is support staff in CPS. Like, bruh, you wasn't
child pimping services. I'm done.
like your whole support part was to take her to get something to eat. You're going to hang out with her for a minute. You know what I'm saying? You're going to pretty much chill with the kid for a minute. That's like your whole, like that's your whole support staff at CPS, of a case manager at, child protection services. That's your, that's your duty, and that's your job duty. That's in your responsibilities. Each child is like case manager might have 32, you might have maybe only 15. You know what I'm saying? But you're still interacting with that kid positively and feeding them.
So we got school to prison pipeline, and now we got CPS to stripper pipeline. Got it.
I'm so sad.
Unfortunately.
I'm so sad. So this is the one where the father piped the dog.
Yes. Now this whole situation, if you look down, pretty much the mom has multiple kids. She's another mother of multiple kids. The family member ends up calling one of the bigger brothers saying, hey, dad's hitting me. He gets dressed, run over there. He's, only right around the way, run through some grass or whatever. So he's right around the way. Boom. He gets there trying to pull dad off. Dad's beating the crap out of this baby. She's bleeding in her face, all that. Call 911. Baby ends up, young lady ends up, she's not a baby, she's 14, but yet 15. I think she's 15. I'm sorry. But she ends up passing away. She ends up losing consciousness and she ends up passing away. The only thing the dad says
I thought she just passed out. She actually passed away.
Yeah, she ended up dying.
Oh, wow. I thought she just passed out.
She did. She kept passing in and out, but she ended up dying because dad said he went a little too far. But the CPS has been there over 10 times in 1 year. She got 7 other kids. She's one of the older girls. He's been doing this for years. And the big brother said, you could see other, look at a couple other stories in between there where one of the sisters is saying that she was actually holding one of the babies and something got in his way, she guessed, and he had his hand on her throat and was pushing her up against the wall while she had the baby in her hand. So maybe a little baby brother, baby sister, but he's physically abusing every female in the house for years, at least 10 times in 1 year. But this is multiple years. And mom was with him. She's been with him.
And mom, that's what's
He's
so
been with
sad.
him the whole entire time. The son is like, Mom, he said CPS has failed them, but not only did they fail them, but also his parents, his mom, because she kept having them in the house. Mom kept really wanting, I guess, counseling only. But the young man was like, nah, this poison needed to go. Like, you kept him in the house the whole entire time. You just wanted counseling.
That was one of the children. That was one of the children. The son. That was one of the children that was saying they wanted counseling for the girl. But children, they don't know what social services provide. They just know that they're supposed to help. They don't know all the services that that they should be getting. So, but I think that was one of the children that was asking for some counseling. But it's sad that the mom. Yeah, for the daughter, for the 14-year-old that they called on the last time when they said dad had her all bloodied up in the face and he was beating on her. And what's sad is for the dad to say this is a first time incident. And that's another thing. Normally, if there really is a story of abuse and neglect and things of that nature, you have CPS show up at somebody's house. Mm-hmm. The parents will say, oh, well, they fell down a flight of stairs. Something happened at school, he ran into a wall, or this is the first time, it won't happen again. But when the children are telling you that's a lie, this is not the first time, how do you not remove this individual from the situation? But they even removed him, but you only removed him temporarily. Even after all the reports of neglect and abuse and beatings, children being bloodied up, choked, all those things, you brought this man back home. But I blame the mom, because there's no way in hell, if you are causing physical pain to my children. I'm for a whooping. I don't have a problem with a whooping. I don't have a problem with you chastising a child. I don't have a problem with discipline, because you're supposed to steer your children down the right path. And every once in a while, a child may need a little bit of discipline. All children don't. And there's a difference between whooping a child and beating a child. Your child should never be bloody after a whooping. Blood should not be exuding from a child from a whooping.
Never.
Yeah, nah.
I just use this.
And then the funny thing is, he's been charged with assault and then been released on bond. Look at him. Look at this man.
Right. And I get it. That's a process. You can be released on bond. But if you're charged with assault and the assault is against
he's a big man to be hitting a 14.
But what I'm saying is, if you're charged with assault, I get it. You can be out on bond, but the assault is against a child. I get it that if you're released on bond, you just go back home. I get that part. But why were the children not removed if you knew this man was released on bond for assaulting children and going back home? The children should have been removed from the home at that moment in time when he was released on bond.
Children's Services said they didn't have time for that.
Say that. They actually tried to make excuses of the situation pretty much. I think in the middle, I think it said they had no comment after they had said, they had been there 10 different times. Like, y'all been there 10 different times? What? Really? Y'all never thought to take not near one kid 10 times in 1 year?
And were all those reports from the children? They're not neighbors calling. They weren't from just the children. I thought all the reports came from the kids.
No, the mom. Then the mom called too.
Yes, it all came from the house.
The mama called too. So I'm never talking with the mom. If the mom called for help, how do you keep letting this man come back to the house?
That's what the son was saying in the thing. That's why he blamed her too. Like, listen, you failed all of us. We have got used to. My sisters actually got used to that crazy acting. You doing all that craziness, they got used to that domestic violence situation. They don't know really what's going on, but our mom should have been getting us out of there.
That's crazy. So it wasn't reports from a neighbor that just speculated, heard some screams from the house, didn't know what was really going on. No outside sources. All this came from inside the sources, from the people that were being abused or somebody who witnessed the physical abuse. So how the hell did we not remove these children from the home? But y'all fine with taking kids from the home unjustly. Go ahead, Rox.
It's so sad. Okay.
Do it play? I'm trying to touch my dang old screen. My bad.
That's not how it works in these.
A Winston County family claims they have slipped through the cracks with Child Protection Services and they've suffered abuse because of it. 3 on Your Side's Holly Emery investigates.
Maggie, the family in Noxapater said Child Protection Services in Winston County has failed them. While the parents said they've tried to seek help, the children say CPS left them in an abusive home. We want to warn you, images in this story show injuries of blunt force trauma and may be disturbing to some viewers.
Late Sunday night, July 17th, a Winston County deputy was called out to a home in Noxapater where 15-year-old Caitlin Thrash was being beaten by her father, Jimmy Todd Thrash. Her brother, 18-year-old Connor Thrash, says he had to pull his father off her.
I got a call from my younger sister, Dixie, and you could hear all the kids crying and screaming. So I got up, their clothes on, went over to the house, which is across the pasture right here. Went into the door, and our father was still on top of Caitlin, and she had blood coming from her mouth.
When a Winston County deputy arrived, he spoke with both Caitlin and her parents. Connor says he wasn't prepared for the deputy's response.
She was going in and out of conscious and still couldn't stand by herself. He called us up to the porch, and he asked her if she would have just done what she was told to do, if none of this would have happened.
After the
Wow.
deputy and ambulance left, Caitlin was left with her parents and siblings. Jimmy Todd Thrash, Caitlin's father, admits he took it too far
Look
that
at her
evening.
face.
This is the first time that an incident like this has went this far.
Look at that wife.
I went too far.
But according to Jimmy Todd's two eldest daughters, Cheyenne and Stephanie, this isn't the first time.
And there was another incident where I was holding a baby and something didn't go his way, I guess, and he had had his hand on my throat and was pushing me up against the wall.
Melissa Thrash, the mother of Caitlin, Connor, Cheyenne, and 7 other children, she and Jimmy Todd have previously had a counselor, and they've sought resources from CPS, but got no help from the agency despite agents visiting their home 10 times in the past year.
We've been asking for some in-home counseling, them recommend somebody, and
counseling.
According to Dr. Laura Bolts, assistant professor in the Department of Sociology at Mississippi State University, CPS could have offered in-home service monitoring and more.
Generally, there are in-home services. There is counseling. There are also things where if this is something that the case has been open to the court, it can be ordered for families to receive those services.
Connor says he and his siblings have witnessed the dysfunction of his parents for years and that Winston County CPS has done nothing. After posting on Facebook about his dad recently abusing Caitlin, he said CPS in Jackson stepped in and ordered Caitlin to be removed from the home temporarily. In fact, Connor and his siblings have gone as far to say that Winston County CPS has failed them.
The CPS of Louisville, at least,
I'm
has,
sorry,
they've had several opportunities to come and help, and they've done nothing, which is no telling how many kids have had that too.
I think CPS has failed us, but I think our mom has also failed us because she's making all these calls, but she is still letting the abuser into the house.
Jimmy Todd Thrash has since been charged with assault and has been released on bond. Caitlin has also been placed back in the home with her parents in spite of all that's happened. Holly Emery, 3 on your side.
I'm sorry, this one didn't pass away. We got more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's not the one who passed away.
Right.
So the dad gets out. But that's crazy, though. I didn't know that the father was also actually asking for counseling. So you beat your children to a bloody pulp and asking for counseling?
Can I get some help, please? I didn't mean to half kill these kids. They might be for real fighting over that what you said, that might be real right here. This right here. Fighting.
Man.
Yeah.
Probably so.
That mom looks so she
looked out of it too. Because I am not. I get it. You can stand by your husband. You can stand by the father of your kids. But at no point in time, whether you're my husband or the father of my children, am I going to stand by while you're beating children to a bloody pulp. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the discipline. You can be a disciplinary, but blood, nah, we're not doing blood under no circumstances.
And ain't nobody need to be choked up, held up against nothing with no baby nowhere.
We're not doing abrasions. We're not doing choking. We're not hitting nobody in the face. Definitely, that's another thing. I'm a firm believer that sometimes a child needs to be whooped, but at no point in time should a child ever be hit in the face. Why would you hit a child in the face?
Keep your mouth. I said keep your mouth closed. Keep your mouth. Yeah, don't say nothing.
That part.
Yeah, I do believe popping a kid in the mouth. Now wait a minute, because your mouth get very.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in hitting a child in the face.
Yeah, no.
The moving. I'm sorry. Close it. Thank you. I said. So
no, I can't do that. Not in the face. I can tap you on the back of the thigh. I can tap you on your rear end.
That's why my lips so big. My mama said, because she done popped me so many times. I still talk shit. Okay.
Nah, I don't think you should hit a child in the face. I feel like that's what you do when you fight. You should not be fighting a child.
Why you say you bite your child's son's arm off? What really? Ain't no son's arm. Boy, bye.
I can't. But for the father to be sitting up there talking about we've been asking for counseling. Okay, well, if you've been asking for counseling, if CPS wouldn't provide it, why the hell didn't you go get it your damn self? For you to be sitting up here, the one being the abuser, admitting that you need some help, or maybe that was just for TV, who knows? But for you to say that you need help, Why the hell didn't you go get it? So you were waiting on someone else to provide you help that you needed, as opposed to taking that into your own hands. But you didn't have no problem taking these beatings into your own hands. But you couldn't go get your own damn counseling?
Girl, he wasn't worried about that counseling for real.
Exactly.
That was
Because
just
if you had money to bond out, you had money to pay for some counseling.
That part I was just about to say. Now he had money to bond out though.
You had money for counseling.
He back at home.
Mama bonded him out.
The wife did, and I'm sorry, you to set your ass there, because I'm not doing it. If I'm calling CPS because we need counseling, because we're going through this situation, you know, things are getting out of control, we're losing it around these damn kids. If as a mother, I'm calling CPS, how the hell am I bonding you out when you're the reason why I'm calling CPS?
I'm not. I ain't doing
Thirsty. I don't know what she on, but she looked like she was in space, just talking.
Yeah, she did look a little spaced out.
Just talking.
Yeah, she must be on that. I don't know if you ever watched that doc, The Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. They got this thing called the Boone County Maiden Call. They shake a bottle of pills. She look like she is stoned. So I don't know if she on that Boone County Maiden Call or whatever that is going on. But yeah, she do look like she out of it, because you got to be. You can't tell me you're sitting up here asking for help, but you're bringing the problems back home after asking for help.
You living with the problem. You growing with the problem. You're okay with the problem, but you still asking for help. Girl, bye. You don't want no help. You just want to say you want help.
that part. So the children's services will be lenient.
Exactly. Well, they said they wanted help, but we couldn't get to them. Nah, man. You don't really want
And
no
if you couldn't get to them, why not? If you couldn't get them the services they needed right then, I don't know if there was a backlog. Maybe I get it. I get it. Your caseload may be heavy. Why not take the children out of the home until you can provide those necessary services?
Why give the kids back to the abuser?
They take them out of the home, because then that means they have to deal with them. That means they have to provide food, clothing, and
social services and resources.
They're not trying.
That's what they get paid for.
They're already feeling like they don't.
That's what my tax dollars pay for, though.
Yours only paying for the ones they already got. They said that it's too many.
It's too many.
It's too many.
So yeah.
They don't got it for those 9 kids over there, okay? They don't got it. It's too many of them. They don't got it for these. They don't got it for them 3 that's over here, them 2 that's over here in this house. They ain't got it. That's too many.
It's too many.
They don't want to give it.
That's how they don't end up going to all their caseload. I mean, to their cases. You know what I mean? They never go see all their clients. That's how them clients get slipped through the cracks, and they malnutrition. They ain't ate in days and weeks, or kids end up dead somewhere and parents gone. And are they putting kids in remember, didn't they have kids in cages one time?
For what?
They had cages one time. A long time ago, I remember a case when CPS was supposed to do them checkup, them home visits, and them kids was in cages.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
Cages, because they wanted to rack up checks.
Hey, you got to be specific around here. You said cages. You know that they had those children at the border locked up.
That's what I was thinking too, about the border children.
Oh wait, no, wait.
I'm sorry, no, they had them in individual dog cages, individual dog cages. When CPS came, they was undoing locks and things like that. Yes, they looked at the house. It was disgusting. Those people had a whole bunch of kids. It was all over the news too.
Why they always service and a whole bunch of pets though? Why people like that always got a whole bunch of kids and a whole bunch of pets?
Whole bunch of pets got the kids.
Yes. That's another thing. How do you have 9 kids and be having all these problems? Like the first woman with the 14-year-old girl. You got 9 kids and you struggling. What made you keep having kids?
The system, your tax dollars was paying for it. The child support hustle. Okay? Get getting child support for all 9 of them. If one of them paying $400 a month and her rent only $3, and she on the pick
$3
and her gas, so she only paying $19 a month total for all her bills, and she getting $1,800 worth of food stamps.
So then why are you struggling?
Because she still needed to get her nails and stuff done.
And her hair done and her lashes.
Yeah, and that $400 wasn't enough because she had to pay $18 for the rent and stuff. So
it's hard out here.
That's what had happened. Plus, she sold the food stamps. Don't forget about the fact that she sold.
I was about to say, you know, that 1,800 in food stamps, she sold some of them because she had to get that hair, nails, and that.
She still needed $50.
Right. But you know, that's a problem I have with welfare services anyway. Because a lot of people who do get food stamps do sell food stamps. So if you're going down the welfare services, you're requesting this assistance because you're struggling, you're a single mom, which I don't know why that's goals in the community, but you're a single mom, so you go down there for services. They give you X amount of dollars in food stamps. If you got enough to sell, you don't need the help that you down there claiming you need. So I would rather my tax dollars have CPS actually taking care of a child when she says she's hungry, as opposed to you giving food stamps to an individual who's selling them for $300 weed bundles. I would much rather you do that.
Oh yeah,
$300 weed
ones that eat good at the beginning of the month, because you know some of the restaurants will sell you the food, right? So you got the ones that'll go in there, get the seafood boils and
the crab boils and all that. Yep.
At the beginning of the month,
crab legs. That's all they know is crab legs.
The middle of the month, they don't got no more. So you got to figure something else out.
So spaghetti becomes their friend. Hamburger helper, manwich becomes a good friend. Or nothing.
But yeah, I'd rather them give the money to the children who need to eat that are actually in CPS that should be being protected than this able-bodied single woman over here who just don't want to do shit but collect government assistance and welfare services.
And feed the babies bologna sandwiches and cheese.
Or nothing but damn Twinkies and junk food.
Ooh.
Not ooh. She did say something like, wait a minute.
Hey, I felt that.
I did too for a second.
So
did y'all feel attacked?
I missed it.
I did a second for the little snack.
You're the snack lady. That's different. There are people who actually are raising their children on Twinkies and Ho-Hos.
Yeah.
And Little Debbie snack. Matter of fact, there was a picture that was floating around on Facebook of someone's refrigerator and kitchen. It was nothing but ice cream, Hot Pockets, things and Twinkies and Ho-Hos and freeze pop. I'm like, so you basically raising your children on sugar. There is no nutritional value at all in this refrigerator. None. You could tell that is a food stamp home. I'm sorry, how you raise a child on Twinkies and Ho-Hos?
Because they probably didn't have it when they were growing up. So guess what? I got kids. I'm going to make sure they have it.
But you ain't taking the child to the dentist to take care of their cavities.
Nope.
After feeding them Twinkies and Ho-Hos for 5 years.
But the school should have child care preventative services. So, yeah, we should have should be covering their dental and their vision because it's important at school. So, yeah, we try to get that covered for you when they're in school with us.
I didn't know they did that.
Yes, well, I do.
Yeah.
Some
schools do. Okay.
Right. There you go. Some schools do.
Not all schools is out here taking care of their little people like that. All right. Not all. So I like that sustenance, not decadence.
Right.
Okay. This next story is the one I was talking about. They keep taking our beautiful people.
Our babies.
So basically, they did a report on the Family and Protective Services showing that African American children are being taken into Children's Services custody way more often than kids of other races. There are a bunch of African American children that are taken from their parents and placed in children's services over and over again throughout the year. And nobody's batting an eye. It's just another statistic, basically. They show the parents who are out here what they consider to be doing bad, and they're just giving their kids away, adopting them away. The parents don't get a chance to be able to try to fight for their kids, or don't have the income that's necessary in order to be able to obtain the attorneys and pay all their legal fees and stuff in order to be able to get their kids back. So it talked about how 3 out of 4 of this girl's kids was adopted out. And she had them taken in by children's services in 2018 because she was going through a divorce. And 3 weeks into summer camp, somebody reported her to children's services and said that the little boy had a bruise on his back. And the lady said that it was his birthmark. And the children's services worker got upset because the child had a ringworm and they ended up taking the kids into custody. But basically, the mom was saying that they took her child because the child was black. And if she was a white mom, then it wouldn't have happened. So they've been praised for adopting.
You got an echo, Roxy.
Can you hear me now? Is it still echoing?
Yeah. So she basically said, if I had been a mother of another race, this wouldn't have happened. It's not a surprise at all. In fact, it's not a surprise to anyone who works in the system or is familiar with the system. I hear an echo still. Am I the only one that hears the echo?
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat, y'all hear echo? Okay, maybe it is just me. Go ahead, Rob.
Why?
I was just
echo. There's an echo.
Look, I'm like, I heard it too, D.
If you got 2 computers on, Rox, you might need to mute one because I think that's where the echo's coming from if you got 2 computers on. All right. Now I still hear it.
I don't know why it's doing that. But, yeah. Let me see.
Go ahead, Rox.
I'm gonna start over. So I'm gonna play the video.
The video might sound horrible if there's an echo.
Hold on.
Bam.
No more overdraft fees.
Pause it, Rox.
Commercial.
We need to take turns logging out and coming back in. But Rox, I think it's coming from your end though.
I am not.
Now I don't hear one when Niecy's talking. Say something, Niecy.
No.
A report from the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services shows that Black children are disproportionately taken into CPS custody more often.
All right, hold on, guys. Technical difficulties.
Races. Fox 26's Dominique Keith joining us live now, looking into that and what's being done about it.
Well, many advocates say not enough is being done, and they say the problem of African American children overwhelmingly being taken away from their parents and placed in CPS care has happened for far too long and for more than 60 years. The home video and pictures of the Birch family show smiling, happy faces. What you don't see is the 8-month battle Reniqua Birch endured as she fought to get her custody.
I was working to pay legal fees. Yeah, I emptied out my savings.
Birch is actually a social worker. 3 of her kids are adopted. The 4 youngest were taken by CPS in 2018 as she was going through a divorce, and 3 weeks into a summer day camp, someone reported her to CPS.
The 4-year-old, she said he had a bruise on his back, and it was like yellow, and it was close to his bottom. And as she was describing it, I said, "Are you talking about his birthmark?" She was.
In fact, she says everything the CPS worker pointed out, such as the ringworm her son was being treated for, had a simple explanation. She believes her kids were taken because of the color of her skin.
If I was a white mom that had adopted kids, especially Black kids, I would be praised.
I think that unfortunately white families are given a presumption of fitness, where I don't think that we see the same, especially with the African American families that we serve.
It's not a surprise at all.
Alan Detlef is the dean of the Graduate College of Social Work at University of Houston and a former CPS worker.
There was a study that I was involved in the mid-2000s when the state was mandated to look at disproportionality. That showed that Black children in Texas were 77% more likely than white children to be removed from their homes in lieu of receiving services in the home.
Also, African American children are less likely to be allowed to stay with family members.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but okay.
I know it definitely just clicked out.
It disappeared, but okay. But yeah, I too.
It was enough. It was more than enough for me. And
Agreed.
Just the fact that more than one children's services worker agreed that it was something that was a normal thing is a problem for me. Like, oh yeah, that's not uncommon. We take beautiful kids all the time. That's not okay. Y'all out here displacing these people from their families on purpose.
The initial problem for me is the reasons why they took one of the kids. So you claim that there was a bruise on the back, and she said there was a birthmark, which can be identified in documents. You can actually have that information in medical documents. But then to go further to say, okay, well, if that's just a birthmark, then we're gonna take them for a ringworm. Since when is a ringworm equivalent to child abuse or neglect? Now, if the ringworm is like 5 inches big and you ain't treated it, now that might be a little bit different. But a ringworm in and of itself does not mean I'm abusing or neglecting my child. Maybe my child was at some other kid's house that's nasty, and that's where the ringworm came from. But that don't mean I'm abusing my kids. So for you to take a child over a ringworm is ridiculous to me. Because you could have just bought them some, what is that? What is that stuff called? Blue Star ointment.
Benadryl.
CPS workers should have bought us a Blue Star ointment. Put this on the baby. Y'all have a good night.
And then on top of that, I mean, you got to look at it. If you're saying wingworm is a problem, and wingworm you actually can get even from playing outside in the dirt. They get from parks. A lot of kids get them from parks. I know Well, I know mine got it from parks. She had went to a park and she had came back, hanging out. And next thing you know it, I just see a little ring. And I'm like, wait a minute, you ain't had that one we got? Okay. Then next thing you know, later on, it got bigger. And I'm looking like, wait a minute, that's wingworm. Come on, let's go. Put that calamine lotion on there. I got the remedies. But my thing is, if you think wingworm is a problem, because that's something that the kid's going to get anyways, what about lice then? If kids get lice.
Well, you know who don't get lice, so that's why that ain't no problem.
If a child get lice, that is abuse then. Is that what you would call abuse and neglect or something? You know what I'm saying? If you think about ringworm,
difference.
Yeah, what would be that difference between ringworm and lice?
It's all contagious. You can catch all of it. So if you ain't out here snatching people kids because they caught COVID, then leave them kids alone, and especially our kids.
Because they caught COVID, right?
I'm just saying, they said they snatching our kids disproportionately. Now, we already have enough troubles and struggles going on in our own daily lives as a people, period. We started out from the struggle. Well, let me take that back. We didn't start out that way, but they brought us over into this way of life. Let's just start
right. When you brought us over into this way of life, it was all struggle
on ourselves, and then when we was offered opportunity for some of us to get out of the struggle, we chose to stay in the struggle. So, whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But we as a people, man, listen, we already done been through enough. So leave our kids alone.
The problem I have with that report about beautiful children being taken more than other races is the fact that we make up such a small portion of the population. So how are more of our children coming up missing when as a whole, we make up about 13% of the population as a whole? And that includes the adults. But our children are being taken disproportionately. How is that possible? But that's not racially derived or motivated?
And what you heard the lady say, that it's because they're giving automatically wonderful people are given a presumption of fit. They're presumptuously automatically fit. You're wonderful. You're
fit. You ain't sounding like Margaret Sanger. And that's how I felt. You remember when she was down there at that KKK rally talking to those women about when she was talking about abortion and all that type of stuff. And we just want to make sure that only fit parents are having kids, if you're not fit. But back then, who was considered fit? You're talking about people that don't have access to money or wealth. That was us. You're talking about the ones who didn't have the access to education. That was us. The ones who were living in poverty. That was us. So who are you talking about if you weren't talking about us as being unfit? So now fast forward some years, and now we're still having our children taken disproportionately. But they want to act like when Margaret Sanger was out there delivering that speech to the KKK, that she wasn't that didn't have anything to do with race, and she wasn't trying to what do they call that? I forgot what it's called. But she wasn't trying to basically wipe out the Black race. And I'm sorry, that's a lie, because even if those weren't your intentions, even if you never said we want to have these services for the Black community, even if those words didn't come out of your mouth, the fact that you're at a KKK rally, knowing full well what they stand for, what they believe in, the activities they engage in, for you to be down there talking about who is unfit, who the hell do you think they're considering to be unfit? Because it ain't their own.
Everybody of color.
But we only make up 13% of the population, but more of our children are being taken. But America's not a racist country, according to Biden and Kamala Harris.
Trifling.
You sound silly.
Traveling.
But then on top of that, it's just a lot of with that number, they are adopting more of the colored babies. They taking them, and everybody wants one or two. Everybody. For a minute,
Am I the only one that has a problem with that?
Huh?
Am I the only one that has a problem with that?
No, because for a minute I'm looking like, okay, so is this like a whole fab now for all the celebrities of non-color, or wonderful people to get all the beautiful babies. Like, oh, I'm special now because I have one. I've noticed like every single wonderful person, a celebrity, is like literally getting one. Like, oh, I got one. You know, oh, I got 2 now. I'm adopting 3 now. Like, really?
And you know what I don't like about it? One thing I see in common with all of those fair-skinned celebrities who are adopting the melanated babies is you notice how the males are always feminized. You see them in tutus. Madonna's adopted son is walking around in her dresses. Charlize Theron? She had the little baby in the tutus and everything. I'm like, what the hell? So my thing is this: if you wanted a girl, why didn't you get her a girl?
Or
why don't you do that to your own damn boys instead of doing it to our boys?
Or what they're doing is, if they're not doing that to the boys, what they're doing is finding the alphabet is like, oh yeah, now we can snatch them. You know what I'm saying? Now the alphabet is snatching them up, you know, for them. So you know what I'm saying? So if you're not putting our boys into these dresses over there, now you got the alphabet of the wonderful people getting the kids, all the melanated kids. And now you're raising our kids, 2 daddy household, 2 mommy household. I mean, now it's okay, you know, beforehand. And if you switch it around, oh no, wait a minute, adopt kid. Wait, what? Huh? One of them is
no paperwork would never go through. You can cancel.
Hey, I'm
that.
with Shadrack though. I'm with Shadrack. He said he's gonna start calling CPS for when the children got lice. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's for sure a whole nother level of petty.
But hey,
you gotta learn this system and learn how to use it to your advantage. I'm with him on that.
Would you say they not properly?
Lights break out of the school, call CPS on them kids' parents. That's child abuse.
Exactly.
Y'all not washing y'all kids' heads and making sure.
I'm glad you brought that up.
The melanated babies ain't gonna have that problem. So guess what? They the ones that's going home talking about, oh, mommy Brittany and April and Jennifer had these, and so now you gonna have them. Wait a minute, you got my baby up here with all them. Oh yeah, have some of that coming the other way. Y'all gonna have a rude awakening. Like, oh wait,
they not gonna wake up with their kids' hair and French braids and beads. They not gonna let your paperwork would not go through. I can guarantee you, if you apply for it today, 6 years from now, you'll still be on the waiting list.
Right. We ain't found you no kids yet.
They can't never find, but it's 2 million kids out here that ain't got nowhere to go. Like, I couldn't find them one. Wasn't no wonder,
but you can't find one.
No, wasn't no wonderful ones going with you. It wasn't. They reserved for the other wonderfuls. They ain't giving you they
literally. But you will definitely be divvying up these. So all the celebrities get some, and these people get some, and everybody gets some. Extra babies.
I just want to know why they have to be our babies. That's all. And don't get me wrong. I understand the cost. That's another problem I have, that with the cost of adopting a child in America is way too high. I don't get that. So I get it. A lot of them are saying it's cheaper and easier to adopt a child in another country. I get all that. But why do they have to be melanated babies? And why is it that when they're male melanated babies, why do we always have to find a picture or an image of them in a damn dress? Some silly, why?
Shirt or a fruity, not a fruity, but a fluffy, a pink shirt or a pink sweater.
I don't even have a problem with the color pink. There are some men out there that actually look really good in pink. I don't have a problem with it. Now,
not with that pink shirt that I seen on that little boy. Not the pink shirt that I seen with the little boy. It was something that the little girl should have had on. Okay.
Now I feel you on that. But yeah, it's out of control, and I'm glad you brought that up though, because I'm glad I'm not the only one that sees that is problematic.
A big problem with me, but to each his own.
Go ahead, Rox.
Oh, I can't scroll. Dang it, I did it again.
That's crazy, because that was my thought for real, re-up, that they get our kids and selling them, or they out there putting them into the program. I believe that. I believe that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that next.
So this
Yeah.
next story is about a 7-year-old in Johnstown who died, and now they're saying that the incident was ruled as suspicious.
I bet.
Because how does a 7-year-old just die? They
Oh, I
went in and they found him unresponsive in his house on the 9th of August. They pronounced him dead later on that day, said that a family member was there and called 911. They didn't want to release the autopsy results and they weren't able to release the cause of death. So, you know, something definitely happened to him.
Exactly. That was my thing. Something happened to that baby where you couldn't, come on. And then look at the excuse that they give them.
Right.
So while state police have indicated the involvement of Child Protective Services, the Fulton County Department of Social Services, which oversees that agency, declined to. Y'all are scrolling too fast. However, Solis said that among the responsibilities of the department to handle its reports of child abuse or neglect, of which some do include fatalities of children. Those would have to be fatalities that are suspected or there's some reason to believe there might have been perpetrated by someone in the family. So we don't get involved in every child's death, which I get that. They shouldn't get involved in every child's death because every child's death didn't have anything to do with neglect. But they go on to say, she said, any police investigation focuses on the crime and the person who committed the crime. But a case by Child Protective Services would look at things such as if there were other children in the home and where the incident took place and the risk of safety of that child or children. Which brings us back to your story, Roxy. If there was a report that you were putting a spoon inside of your child, why would they not take all the children?
That
so
part.
if part of your job, if you investigate one report of child abuse or neglect, you're supposed to determine if this parent is a danger to the child. And if they're a danger to that child, there's a potential danger to all the children. And you shouldn't take any chances with that. So yeah. So they're supposed to be looking at that. So then of course they say it could take up to 60 days. What was interesting to me is they actually said that Child Protective Services basically said, well, we're not going to say whether or not we were covering this story or not. The problem I have with that is if Child Protective Services didn't have any involvement in this, they would have blatantly came out and said, this isn't one of our cases. But the fact that you come out and said that they refused to tell anyone if they were involved in this case, it's damaging to me. Because if you weren't, I don't think you would have had any problem saying we don't have that case in our office. That's not one of our case files.
Exactly.
They would have quickly removed themselves from this conversation. They would have said, no, we don't have any involvement in this. But you all said, well, we refuse to, you just don't want to answer the question. We're not going to say that we're involved. That to me means that you are involved and you don't want to let everybody know how neglectful you've been or that you failed to do your job in protecting these children.
That's exactly why I brought it up. I said, now look at them trying to cover it up by not saying, oh, yeah, this is pretty much a good one right here. Because you're not saying, you just saying, you just giving us some fluff, like you said.
Right.
Give us the scoop. Come on. Tell us what happened and where you dropped that ball at. For real.
They're not telling you what happened. They did exactly what they was going to do. Deflect and make it look like that's not what it is. Next. Just like they do. Next comment. Next.
Exactly. They definitely excused that one. I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, what about the autopsy? What about this is recent?
I'm
like,
was that in August or was it last month?
That's this month, August.
Okay, yeah.
Beginning of this month. So I'm like,
but all of a sudden it's suspicious. The only reason why it's suspicious is because Child Protective Services was involved and they failed to save the child.
That part.
That's the only reason why it's suspicious.
Exactly. So I'm definitely waiting to see and what happens on this because this sounds like some straight bullshit.
And Child Protective Services doing what they do and covering their asses.
And somebody has to pay for that.
Just like they did with the 14-year-old girl. You want to fire the woman who proposed that she prostitute herself just to try to sweep it under the rug while you sitting up in here in court trying to get the case dismissed.
Nah, buddy. Run it back.
But the child was under your care. Because she's in foster care now, right? The 14-year-old, I think she's in foster care now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep. She in foster care. Yeah. But y'all ain't have to stop talking because I was trying to.
Oh, no. My eyes definitely went down
to get it
the
together
like
before.
28 children.
Oh. Gotcha. But yeah, it's like it is story after story in every single state of child protective services not protecting these kids. There was a story on, I don't know if you all saw it, but the Hernandez story. It's on Netflix, where this kid this woman had a child, and she had a few. I don't know if she had 2 or 3 kids. I don't remember because I watched it a couple of years ago, and for some reason, I guess when this child was born, because she had already had children, when this one was born, she was like, I really don't want this kid, blah, blah, blah. So her brother agreed to take the child. Now, her brother is LGBTQ, and he was living with his significant other, whatever. So they took the child. Well, because it was her brother, there was no legal transfer. There was no legal adoption. She just had the baby, gave him to her brother. So there was a point in time where the brother and his husband or boyfriend or whatever, I don't know if they were actually married, but they were going through some financial struggles and they wanted some assistance. So because there was no legal adoption, they couldn't get financial assistance for that child. So they were talking to the biological mom about it. So they basically put the child back into the home with the mother. Now, the mother had a boyfriend at the time. Her and the boyfriend beat this child. I think there were reports where there were BB guns. They were shot at his face. They were putting cigarettes out on this baby's body. And everybody in the town was calling CPS for this baby. Teachers, because the kid was showing up at school with all kind of bruises. He showed up with the actual pellet marks in his face where they were shooting BBs at this kid. Cops, deputies had been to the house. CPS had been to the house. What was funny about it was that every time CPS came to the house, the mother gave them a BS story about some injury that happened outside of the home, and they never once physically checked this child. The child ended up dying at the hands of the mother and her boyfriend. So just another incident where Child Protective Services, you've gotten multiple reports from teachers, from neighbors, from students, and all this, but nobody took this child out of this woman's home when there was evidence of abuse and neglect. Not just evidence. You shot BBs at a child. This child went to school with pellet marks in his face, and nobody felt the need to remove this child from the home.
But see, that's where you have a whole system of people that failed that child. Because if that child was going to school and you in there with that teacher, that's another mandated reporter. Your teacher should have said something. Your bus driver said something. Everybody,
but you know what? But the teachers were reporting it. CPS wasn't doing it. But you know, for me, and I know this is wrong. If I was a teacher and I saw that child, I'm sorry, baby, you coming home with me tonight, because I'm not letting you go back to the house. And your parents could call the police on me all they want, but you are not going to that home. I don't know if I could allow that. Not seeing pellet marks on a child's face from where the parents were shooting BB guns at a child.
But I'm going to tell you,
I could not let you go back to that house.
Even if you did, at that point, they could hold you for kidnapping. So
I don't think the mama would have cared that the child was gone. I really don't think she would have cared.
Oh no, she'd have been petty, because then at that point you trying to get her in trouble. So yeah, they definitely would have.
Well, they would have had to open up a real case. She'd have had to call the police on me. They'd have had to open up a real case as to why this baby did not come home today.
Yeah,
because I'm taking pictures. I'm getting a whole lot done. I'm calling the Popo and CPS right then and there. We
going on social media live.
All of this, right
I'm filming this child social media live.
And look, wish a parent would come on up here. I've been waiting. Listen, come on up here. But go ahead, my bad.
That's the way. That's the way to get it.
Listen, I love them babies.
That is the way to get it.
It works my nerves, but baby, I love them. They are the future.
So wait, speaking on babies, and this is local now.
This is local Ohio, y'all.
Yeah, this is right here in our backyard. So, as I was doing the research and finding the information for our topic, I ran across this story and found out that, um, yeah, the most of these kids died right here in Franklin County. Like 128 kids in Ohio since 2015. 128 kids they didn't kill.
Hold on, and nearly half of those. Wait a minute. Nearly half of those was what? 55. That was only in 3 counties, though.
Yeah,
The main 55 was in 3 counties.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was that? Cuyahoga, Hamilton, and of course Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, of course, like you knew that was a problem.
I mean, that's the main county of Ohio. So yeah, unfortunately, the lack of
that was the main cities, Cleveland,
yeah,
you know,
lack of
Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. So the lack of caring, training, not the right people, too much. You know, there's always some excuse, but there's no real excuse of how these babies slip in a crack and end up passing away. There's no excuse for that.
Oh, they listen. They claim now Franklin County Children's Services claim that there was an excuse. Okay,
lies, but
they have reasons why it is the way that it is. So they even went into talking about, because I guess they did what was called a 4-part investigation called Caught in a Cycle, where they investigated all of the children's services, the issues, the causes, what goes on with the kids from the time that they come in until they're either discharged back home, they pass away, or they're aged out, or they get sent over to foster care or adopted out. And they said that the things that they found were that more than 100 kids had died while they was in the care of children's services since 2015. A lot of the kids that are in custody with them right now can hopscotch between foster homes while they commit crimes. So they go from one foster home to another. They get in trouble at one, and then they go to the next one, on to the next one. Just basically endangering the public. They consider that, endangering public safety because they're getting in trouble from place to place. They had Medicaid billed them for more than $75 million since 2015.
75 million in 7 years?
$75 million.
And when 128 kids died and y'all got $75 million.
$75 million.
Okay.
They line in their pockets, but I could tell you now, they are not doing the due diligence services to these babies.
That's just Medicaid, though. They got other sources of getting paid. They got private.
Right.
Yes, definitely more neglectful than the parents.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And then they relying on our public dollars in order to be able to stay afloat while they killing the kids that's in their care.
And a lot of them is just a lack of knowledge. It's just lack of common sense as well. Like, just because you got book smarts, that don't mean you got common sense. And a lot of them.
The City Custom Cash Card
I
automatic.
was trying to mute it a little bit so that
No, you good, because it's only about to play that commercial. It always seemed to play a commercial before everyone.
Hey, it's social media. They got to advertise because nobody wants to see
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, go ahead and play it. Let's see.
Yeah, I was trying to hit the mute so that it pause just while you was talking. I ain't mastered my struggle stream yet. It's fine.
That's okay.
Oh, they play too much. Now where's my volume?
Worth of research that uncovered problems inside the foster care and behavioral health system in our state.
Our chief investigative reporter, Bennett Haberly, found children caught in the cycle wound up dead, hurt, or hurting others. Tonight, the final story, where Bennett goes directly to Franklin County Children's Services with tough questions about what's happening to our most vulnerable citizens.
Bro, like, what the bro? I just got set up in all of it.
These images can be hard to watch.
Shoot me.
The facts alongside them equally troubling. Children caught in the cycle of foster care in Ohio face worse outcomes compared to the rest of the country. New research from the advocacy group Child Defense Fund Ohio shows foster kids in our state are more likely than kids elsewhere to be placed in group homes or institutions, including facilities like the ones we've uncovered.
Give us your arms. Quit resisting.
The ones where kids have hurt each other or alleged that staff hurt them. The ones that have billed the state for millions of dollars in public Medicaid reimbursement.
Hey, what's going on?
And the foster homes, where we found numerous police runs. The data also shows kids in Ohio are more likely to be mistreated while in foster care and less likely to be reunited with their families.
The system failed my daughter. The system failed other children.
Since 2015, 20 children have died while in the care and custody of Franklin County Children's Services. Across the state in that same time period, that figure balloons to 128 children who died while in the custody of a county agency.
You waiting for it to get higher to do something? 20 deaths, that's 20 people who've lost a child.
In a 30-minute-long interview, Franklin County Children's Services told 10 Investigates it faces unique challenges, with more children with mental health needs entering their system, more referrals, and turnover among staff. It begs the question.
Is the county keeping up with the demand?
I'm not sure that I've seen a system nationally that is keeping up with the demand.
That ain't what he asked you.
Is that a no?
Okay.
Families need more help in our community.
That ain't what he asked you.
But again, my question is about Franklin County Children's Services. Are you guys keeping up with the demand?
Answer the question, Anime.
She can't.
Yeah, could we a second? Can we take a second?
Hell no.
Could you repeat the question?
Is
Hell
Franklin
no.
County
He done did it
Children's
3
Services
times.
keeping up with the current demand?
I think it's fair to say we don't have access to resources that many families need.
You
Laura
got
LaRoche is
$75
the
million
intake
that
director
those
with
families don't
Franklin
got.
County Children's Services.
We really have to come together as a community and understand that our teens are suffering. So many teens across our system, across our county, are desperately struggling with mental health challenges and don't have access to the services that they need.
10 Investigates also spoke with Scott Britton, who works for a nonprofit that represents the public children's service agencies across the state.
We believe that our children's services agencies do a very good job. And I think a lot of the numbers speak for themselves. We work with more than 100,000 investigations of abuse and neglect every year. There are more than 26,000 children who move through the foster care system at any time during the year. And on any given day, we have more than 15,000 children in foster care.
But shouldn't that number be zero? I mean, shouldn't there be zero dead kids in the
Shouldn't you be reuniting with their family?
I don't know of any state or local child
That
welfare
wasn't a
system
question.
that hasn't had fatalities, unfortunately.
He says part of the solution is that Ohio needs more foster parents, more frontline workers, needs more alternative programs like early intervention in juvenile court and better access to mental health care that would prevent or delay referrals to county-run children's services agencies.
It sounds like you're acknowledging that the current landscape isn't working.
That's what we acknowledged when we released our Children's Continuum of Care Reform Plan in 2018, that Ohio has some room to grow in this area. We are,
So that's a yes.
They don't
we are
want to.
behind some other states in terms of where
They don't
we
want
need
to
be.
grow.
And plans have been in the works to create a state ombudsman so that children can report if they're being mistreated or abused while in foster or residential care. Another note, starting July 1st, Ohio Rise will begin. It's a special Medicaid managed care program, basically a funding source, so that families can access things like a mobile crisis unit and other mental health interventions. The aim, to keep children in their homes rather than becoming part of the cycle. Yolanda?
All right, thanks, Bennett. That would be the goal. Well, again, this is part of a series of 10 Investigates for.
That should be the goal.
Hey, I agree with Shadrach. He said the only thing worse than having a Karen call a manager is having the manager show up as a Karen. He's right. But for you to say, can you repeat the question? The question was clear as day. The long
3
pause.
times.
You didn't answer what he asked you in the first. Ain't nobody asked you about no national number. That's not the point. And when he said, well, should the number be 0 deaths? He was like, well, I don't think so. If a child dies if I have a child and my child dies at home, I'm going to be investigated. I'm probably going to go to jail until they prove that I'm innocent. I'm likely going to be arrested if a child dies in my care. So 128 can die in the care of CPS and nobody goes to jail with 75 million. And again, that's just the Medicaid services. So with $75 million, you talking about we don't have the resources that the families had, then families ain't got $75 million collectively.
I mean,
I can promise you that.
Not only that, you're billing Medicaid actively. Why don't these kids have mental health services?
Period.
Right.
They have mental health services. That means y'all not referring them.
Counseling sessions that these kids can attend. Them people will come to you for the right purpose. You billing Medicaid. Like, come on.
So if you can let the $75 million in Medicaid and all the children is up here fighting, so are we is this like funding for fight promotions? What the fuck is, what the hell is going on? I'm so sorry. I did not mean to say that. What the hell is going on? That y'all collected money for Fight Club, Team Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we doing now, Team Fight Club.
And just in and out, they have a revolving door on group homes. There is many companies that try to reach out and partner with those agencies, especially Franklin County Children's Services. They don't seem to really want to partner and pay for partnered services. They prefer, even though they're billing, they want the personnel, they want that people to also bill and not pay for that contract. See, my thing is, when they say they need to work with people in the community, then say that and do that. You have to be actively doing that, not sitting there behind the desk, ma'am, saying that we're actively working with the community and we're trying to work with the community, because you guys don't actively and try to really work with the community.
But how does a government-funded operation cry about they don't have the resources to do their job? And as far as you working with the community, if my tax dollars are funding these programs, that is my community work, damn it. I'm sorry. I've done my part. I've done my part. That's what tax dollars are for.
I feel you, right? Because that's right.
They need more foster parents. And what else did they say they needed? Because that's what's
more case workers, more case management,
and more counseling.
And more counseling. There is a lot. I mean, I know.
But aren't all those services provided through Medicaid?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. They can house them through Medicaid. Do you hear me? They can pay rent for these people through Medicaid.
They got them all that money. What is you doing? Just get them people in to do it. You got $75 million. This is, see, my thing is they so busy lining them pockets though.
Mm-hmm.
Their haircut looking like that still got to look like that. Her vehicle still got to look like that. Where she living at, she still got to maintain that. Where she driving, she still got to maintain that. Regardless of her losing 128 kids, I can't say her specifically, but if you over all of that,
you're responsible.
You're responsible.
So you responsible
for those.
It costs to be the boss. You responsible.
It costs to be the boss.
And I'm sorry. You need to pay your fines. And if 128 children die under your care, I'm not understanding why they're not looking at it as some kind of, whether you want to call it a genocide, whether you want to call it, I don't care if you want to call them a serial deleter, because 128 kids cannot die in my care.
Right.
Under no circle. One child can't die in my care without me being arrested today.
Listen. And then where did these kids get these guns from? Because they was talking about it was 10 kids out of the group that had to be killed due to gun violence. Like where's these kids getting guns from? And they supposed to be in y'all's streets there.
But they in your revolving door group homes that you guys have, that you guys are funding, that you guys are assisting, but yet these group homes don't even have counseling services, group services. Where are their responsibilities in taking care of these children in the household? They're in your household, right? It's your group home, right? Why aren't you taking care of these kids? When are you going to be responsible for taking care of these kids?
And the multiple fights it's evident that these children are lacking all types of resources, nutrition and everything, because you fight less when all of your basic needs are met. You get more aggressive as your struggle increases.
Survival of
So
the
if their
fittest.
basic needs were being met, there'd be a lot less fighting going on. So y'all just throwing them up here in this group home like a roach motel, and that's just that?
Like a
That's
pack of
it.
wolves, let them go. Survival of the fittest. Go
And
ahead.
they better make sure that they go see their probation officers if they got them. They better be at their NA or AA meetings if they got them. Because
Another state-funded program.
Another state-funded program, but
They're
none of them
still
have
on Medicaid.
Yeah, but none of them are providing social emotional learning. None of them are actually making those kids go to school, but yet they're in your group home. When are you going to uphold someone accountable for these kids that's in a group home, in all these group homes that you got, guys? I mean, that you got all around this county. There's so many.
They not.
There's so many group homes, and they are not taking care of none of these kids. And if the kids late to the group home, guess what? They're sleeping outside, or they're, just it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't get a chance to get in.
So they got like they got an enforced curfew.
It's not always
They don't-
enforced. Some of them
they
are.
don't
Some
need
of
it.
them are enforced. Yes, some of them are enforced.
Depends on where they stand.
Okay, and I get that. I get having a curfew. You should have a curfew. But if you got a child who doesn't have a home and they happen to miss curfew for whatever reason, as Child Protective Services, why would that child not be so? For you, a better option would be to let them stay out on the street tonight. That's a better option because you missed curfew.
They at the park. They better figure
They
Hanging
stand
out with
in
all the drug dealers
bandos.
at night.
They stand in bandos. They doing this. They stealing cars and sleeping in cars, and they just stealing cars to drive around. Man,
just
listen.
driving around, parking that car, getting into another one.
And the kids is hungry. They still hungry. They stealing because they hungry. They ain't got no clothes. They ain't clean. It's so many things that they're not upholding the adults accountable for. When you take in children, it doesn't make sense. Like,
But think about this though. What about the fact that it's these kids out here got kids? So in a lot of our dealings, just think about them kids that we come across that's got little people they own that got kicked out of their parents' house because they had a kid, and now they in children's services custody with their kid, and then they got kicked out of their group home that they in, and now they sleeping in the park in their car with their kid and their dog, and they don't want to go to the shelter because they ain't gotta wait for the dog to go. Okay, like some of the real life.
How is having a child in Child Protective Services sleep outside at night because they miss curfew? How the hell do you consider that a better option for a lost child?
They
For a
don't.
child that needs mental assistance, emotional support, food, whatever the case may be. How do you think that's a better option to let them roam the streets in the middle of the night where ain't nothing out there but prostitutes and drug dealers and crackheads? Why is that a better option for these children?
Because they was late on their curfew. They didn't come to groove.
They didn't follow the rules, so that meant that they didn't want to play.
Exactly. So they
That's
gotta
basically how they do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But my thing is, it's still accountability. It still goes back to accountability. Like, you guys got the group home for what purpose then? To get paid? Some of that.
Yeah, that's it. Because when you
got-
collect $75 million from Medicaid and you don't have no mental services, that's what Medicaid pays for.
That part.
So where the hell did the $75 million go besides the Fight Club promotions?
Period.
In their pockets.
Making sure they stay where they stay.
Shut them down. Shut them down.
Stay where they stay. They make sure their kid is not in that area, in that type of atmosphere. Make sure they can still make them trips and take care of what they need to do in 401ks, and make sure their life is still fluffy. And all
I say
these
shut
kids
them down.
are suffering.
Because if the kids are sleeping on the streets anyway, what the hell do we need CPS for?
What the
Shut
hell we
them
need
down.
these group homes for if y'all still allowing the kids to do the same thing? Y'all show no accountability for
Shut
them.
them down. We don't need you. And
I'm
I
gonna tell you
definitely don't
now.
need my tax dollars funding a teen fight club. I definitely don't need that.
Give me a group home. I'm gonna tell you now, everybody on house arrest. That ankle click, yeah, buddy, yeah, buddy.
They ain't even made it in the house and they on arrest.
Click, let's go. I'm
But
clicking
yeah, that's messed
everybody.
up. 128 children died in your care, and you're blasé about it. Let one child die in my care. You got the woman that was talking about her child was taken from her because of a ringworm. But a CPS worker can have 128 children die under their care, and it's just another day at work.
Yeah.
They'll do more. Hold on, they'll do more training and case management training, which they don't really
so
offer those as much
You
as
know
they
what?
do.
I hate when people use training. I don't care what avenue we're talking about. I don't care what business. I promise you, I'm so tired of hearing training excuse. When it was police brutality, oh, training. CPS, oh, training. In corporate America, anytime somebody fails, oh, lack of training. You've been doing this job for 27 years. You've had 27 years of on-the-job training. What the hell other kind of training do you need?
Training.
I'm sick of the training excuse when you've been doing this job for 27 years.
Well, it comes up with new stuff all the time. I need more training.
Yeah, I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. But and so Child Protective Services doesn't just fail our children in the ones that they leave in the abusive homes or the ones that they unjustly take from abusive homes. But now we have the human trafficking situation. So for those who don't know, which I'm sure everybody does, but human trafficking is a criminal activity that is characterized by the exploitation of adults and children for profit. The two most common types of trafficking are labor and sexual slavery. At Together Freedom, our focus is to rescue and care of domestic child trafficking victims. However, this is only one small part of the problem, which is a much larger worldwide problem. So some of the trafficking statistics. So there is an average of 30 million people being trafficked worldwide. And those are just numbers we know about or speculate about. I'm pretty sure the number is way higher than that.
Right.
But the average lifespan, now this was alarming to me. The average lifespan of a trafficking victim is 7 to 10 years from the time they started. So imagine being human trafficked, whether it be for sex or labor, and you're stuck in this rut for 10 years. For 10 years, you're being drugged, beaten, raped, abused, neglected, all for 7 to 10 years. And that's the average. So that means that there are some that exceed that 10 years as well, because that's the average. And all ethnicities are at risk, even though we know that there are some people that are more at risk than others. And the average age of domestic sex trafficking victims is 13. Now, what's interesting to me about that average age being 13 is the current environment that we're in now, where you have all of these so-called democratic states or democratic politicians who are pushing for this reduced age of consent in some cases, and there's a lot of focus of the age of 12. So imagine think about how that sounds when you're trying to reduce the age of consent to the age of 12, and the average age of a sex traffic victim is 13 years old. Is that a coincidence?
Not at all. Look at them southern states.
Yeah, so that's the suspected child trafficking map. And so it's based on human trafficking cases that were reported through the U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline. So these are only cases that have actually been reported. Because the majority of human trafficking cases go unreported, the problem is likely much worse than this map indicates. And of course, we all know that. So there are so many people that end up trafficked that we don't know about. One of my concerns with this border crisis, with all these children coming to the border unsupervised with no parental, no parents, no nothing. How many of these children, because think about it, who's looking for them? Nobody in the United States knows who they are. And if you're a parent who is shipping your child off here for a better life, it's not like someone's going to write you a letter and say, yeah, your child made it here safe. We're going to send them to this school. This is how you can get in touch with them. So who's looking for these kids? And I always thought that with this border crisis that's currently going on now, that a lot of these children are going to end up being trafficked because of this border crisis. That's been one thing that's always bothered me. But back to where the victims come from. So an FBI raid found that up to 60% of child trafficking victims were part of either the group home or foster care system. So not only does CPS not protect the children that are being abused at home, neglected at home, being raped at home, victims of incest, things of that nature, not only are they not protecting them, not only are they removing children unjustly from homes because of issues like ringworms, but now we have a situation where an FBI raid has indicated that up to 60% of child trafficking victims come from group homes and foster care. CPS, our tax dollars at work. So also at risk are girls with a history of sexual abuse. Runaways, of course, are at risk. And there's an average of 2 million runaways in the United States every year. That's an issue as well. And some believe up to 1/3 of runaway children are being trafficked in the U.S. And 1/3 is a huge number, but I wouldn't be surprised if the number was higher than that. Then it was higher than 1/3. But 1/3 is huge.
Yeah.
And then the crazy part again is what? That Midwest and that Midwest and Southern looks very colorful, okay?
Right.
But those are the same ones that want to allow them kids to be what? Less than 16 to be a consensual relations with adults.
When you got
these babies.
Right. When you got the twerking senator, Miss Tara Mack, talking about, we want to teach pleasure-based sex to 6th graders. What's the age of a 6th grader?
No.
What is the age of a 6th grader?
11, 12.
That's 12.
Yeah,
right.
Say 11, 12.
So again, you got the Democrats that are pushing for pleasure-based sex to be taught to 12-year-olds, and the average age of a sex trafficked child or victim is 13 years old. This cannot be a coincidence.
Don't prepare our babies for no bullshit. I'm sorry.
Everybody's grooming the kids. So if we're teaching 6th graders pleasure-based sex, if this 6th grader happens to end up being child trafficked, we're grooming them to be accepting of this lifestyle. We're grooming them to believe that there's nothing wrong with an adult trying to pleasure a child. So anybody who votes for these politicians, shame on you. And as far as I'm concerned, you need to be thrown up under the jail along with CPS and all these other government institutions that are failing our babies.
Absolutely, because it just don't make no sense. My thing is evidence-based abstinence. It's okay to still teach our babies abstinence. I don't understand where it became a crime to teach babies abstinence. It was like,
Hold on, Anissa. We need to teach adults some abstinence, because I promise you, this is off topic, but this whole since Roe got overturned and all the women talking about, he can get a vasectomy. Why can't you be abstinent, ma'am? You got people talk about the government is forcing the government is forcing pregnancies. Ain't nobody forced you to get pregnant. You do know that pregnancy is 100% preventable, but you too busy wanting to be a floozy.
It's preventative.
So adults need to learn abstinence too.
Preventative, interventative, and awareness. Okay. So with that being said, evidence-based material needs to be given to the kids. Abstinence and sex education, as in all the sexually transmitted diseases that you can get. They need to understand and comprehend, and everything that needs to be taught when it comes to that type of situation needs to be based on their education, which is, I can tell you now, I use ETR, which is ETR.org is a great evidence-based in regards to prevention, intervention, awareness, because that's what I like to, speak on. And sex ed is, also my topic. But it gives us, and of course, yes, birth control, which is, birth control, definitely. But my thing is abstinence, preventative. Parents is always, I've noticed a lot of female single mother parents always seem to put their child on birth control immediately. I've known that, I've been seeing a lot of that for many years. So I really don't feel like birth control is a problem, but it needs to, because these parents are pushing it. Maybe patches and a shot, something that we can see, because them pills ain't working. Them pills is not working. You right, them pills is not working for them babies.
Hold on, you gotta take them for them to work. And a lot of younger kids, if you've never taught a child responsibility or accountability, but all of a sudden you find out you have a teenage child that's now sexually active, so you rush down to get them birth control. When my mama found that I was sexually active, she got me birth control and she bought me condoms. But she also sat me down and told me, by no means is this me granting you permission to engage in activities, but because I know I can't monitor you 24 hours a day, I'm hoping that you make wise decisions while being sexually active if you continue down this path. But a lot of us aren't having real conversations with our children, and we're slamming them on birth control, but we're not talking to them, because sex is still a taboo topic in a lot of homes. A lot of parents don't want to have that conversation with their kids. So you think that, I'm gonna give them some birth control pill and let them be responsible, but you're not really having real conversations with the children. So a child is not gonna they're not gonna take their birth control pill every day. And some people can't. I was one of the people that birth control pill had a negative effect on me. Everybody can't take birth control pills, but there are so many other options. But it seems like nobody wants to practice the abstinence option. Nobody wants to practice that. But pregnancy is 100% preventable.
Absolutely. My bad. Go ahead with them stats. I see it.
Yeah, so I had to pull. So I wanted to pull some of the Texas data because I'm here in Dallas. So, and the reports in here. So we talked about a lot about the CPS failures. And so what this report does is this basically shows some human trafficking data. And it goes back to, I think there's a report that starts in 2018, but I think this one is 2019, 2020, and 2021. Now, these numbers on here, they're a little alarming, but I think these numbers are so underrated. It is absolutely ridiculous. I think that they've only documented the children that they have kept records on, or accurate records on. I don't think that this anyway encompasses all of the children that come up missing. But hold on. So in this report, they go over things like the number of children that have gone missing from care providers, the number of children who were victims of child trafficking, the number while being managed under conservatorship, where the child who went missing was a victim of offense under the penal code, trafficking of persons, whether managing conservatorship of DFPS is temporary or permanent, the type of substitute care which a child can be placed in, and different kinds. So it's a lot of different information here, and I just want to go through a little bit of it. So go ahead and scroll, Roxy, because they break it down into so many different categories. So they break down first children that come up missing. I think is one of the first things they report on. So a lot of children, and of course you heard with Ohio, they had 128 something children that popped up dead in the last 5 years. Well, Texas has a huge problem with a lot of children coming up missing in DPS or DFPS care. And the numbers are quite alarming, as a matter of fact. But again, I think that they are so underreported, it's ridiculous. I think these are just ones that there's accurate information on, like I said, and I don't think that this is the full story. But I was glad to know that they actually did house some data. So in fiscal year 2021, nearly 46,000 children and youth were in DFPS conservatorship. Of those, 1,700 unique children and youth were reported missing during that time. So under CPS care, you had these children that actually came up missing. They report close to 1,700. I believe it may be a lot more than that, because I don't believe they keep records of all that. I've gone to it's this organization called True Texas Project. I've gone to some of their meetings, and they report on a lot of the issues in DPS and DFPS, CPS and DFPS. One of the things that was alarming when I was in one of those meetings is one of the guys there, he actually decided, you know what, I'm going to get the inside scoop. So he decides to actually get a job with a team that was investigating. So they go down to CPS and they start investigating. They're looking through records. And he reported that they were asking them about the number of children that came up missing. And one individual actually told this man that, well, we don't have an accurate or a total count, but we know the number's acceptable. So then they asked about the children that are child trafficked under CPS or DFPS, and they got the same response. Well, we don't have a total or an accurate number, but we know it's acceptable. And he responded to them. He said, well, if you don't know what the number is, how the hell do you know it's an acceptable number if you don't know what the number is? Great question, right?
Right.
But
That's
not only that, at what point in time is one child popping up missing under CPS or DFPS care an acceptable number? At what point in time is one child that ends up trafficked out of CPS or DFPS care an acceptable number? The fact that you have an acceptable number is problematic for me. There should not be an acceptable number of children, just like the report in Ohio. Well, shouldn't that number be 0? How can any child how can any number of children coming up missing or being trafficked in the system, whether it be for labor or for sex, be an acceptable number with CPS? Because that couldn't happen in my household with one child.
Period.
I can't have a child come up missing without y'all investigating me. I can't have a child pop up dead without you investigating me. My child can't be selling ass on the corner without you investigating me. But Texas reported in 2021, they had close to 1,700 children that popped up missing under CPS and DFPS care.
Right.
So of that, now they claim of that 85% of the children were located as of August 31st, 2021. 185 of the children, which is about 10%, were still missing, and 87 children, about 5%, exited conservatorship, and normally that's either because they age out or whatever the case may be. But go down, Roxy. Let's get into some of the charts and look at some of the data. So that's just the table showing how many kids came up missing. This one, ages of children used, and so this just shows the ages. So as you can see, they got it broken down 2019, 2020, and 2021. Now, what's surprising to me is look at 2020. Now, 2020 was the year that the economy got shut down. Nobody was going to work. Nobody was going to school, right?
Right.
Now, the reason why this stood out to me is because during 2020, one of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if anybody else notices, but Amber Alerts went crazy in 2020. And the first thing I remember thinking was, I'm like, hold on. If all the parents are at home tending to the kids, why are there so many more Amber Alerts going on now in 2020 when everybody's supposed to be at home with the kids? So when I saw this data, 2020 stood out to me that in 2020, you had the highest number of children that came up missing. And I'm like, hold on, but 2020 was the year everything was shut down. So how is your highest number in 2020? What the hell is going on?
All the parents at home with their kids, they couldn't handle
that. Hold on, but these are children in DPS care.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened in 2020 at DPS that you had more children coming up missing? Because if y'all weren't working, because remember, nobody was working. If y'all weren't collecting kids, which and there's going to be another stat. Matter of fact, scroll up, Roxy. Scroll up real quick. The stat that shows the 2020, the children that were actually in DPS. The other way. Go to the first chart. That showed the number of kids that they had. So that's it. That's it. Go back, Roxy.
Number 3.
That one right there. So in 2020, they had the number of children was 47,000. Now, that was less than in 2019, but you had more children that came up missing when you had less children in the system. What the hell happened?
Damn.
What happened in 2020 when nobody was working? What happened? We should have more eyes on the children because nobody was actually going to work, right?
So it's easier to do home visits. It's easier to the kids is home, right? They're supposed
these
to be home.
are home visits. These are children that are in DPS care. These children that came up missing in DPS care.
Right.
So
that's
what were you all doing in 2020 that you had less children in the system because y'all weren't doing all the home visits and taking kids out from the previous year, but more children came up missing in 2020.
Well, remember in DPS foster care is considered DPS still.
Well, yeah, that's true too. That's true.
Yes. So remember, a kid that's not in their own home, whether it's group home, a foster home, whatever, that's still outside. That's still DPS. You know what I'm saying? They put them in somebody else's home. They not home. That's still DPS. Now, granted, they're supposed to be going to that home and doing those wellness checks for that kid in that home. That's what they're saying they didn't do. That's what it looked like to me, or they did it and those kids was missing.
Oh, and peace, Big Mike. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. Much love.
So that's what I'm pretty much thinking, because foster care
And
is
that would make sense. That would make sense.
So
2020 just stood out to me.
Yeah, but think about it. If these people is collecting kids and putting them in the dog cages, and we got about 12, 13 of them, and ain't nobody done came and checked on these kids either, that's how we losing more. You know what I'm saying? If ain't nobody at all and checking up on them, and they, unfortunately dropping like little flies or fruit flies, you know what I'm saying? You're missing that, you know what I'm saying? Okay, a year later you find out, okay, well, they lost 4 kids. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's 4 on the list. Literally, who is responsible though for those lives lost though? Do anybody go to jail? Do anybody don't collect $200? Don't see nothing, don't get nothing. Do anybody had them problems after that? Like at all?
Okay, but check this out. So this is another funny piece of information that goes along with 2020. So according to them, they have 47,000 or close to 48,000 children in DPS care. What's interesting to me is I'm trying to figure out where they keeping accurate records, because in Texas, at least I know in Dallas, I know this for a fact in Dallas, children were, and this has probably been happening nationwide, because 2020 was a year that all the world's greatest moms was losing control. All of a sudden, first in 2019 or beginning of 2020, you had all these world's greatest moms. Oh, I love being a mom. My kids are the best, blah, blah, blah. The minute the kids had to stay at home with you after week 2, you started seeing all the videos of the moms outside in their cars smoking blunt, talk about these kids stressing me the hell out. I'm like, hold on, what happened to world's greatest mom? In Texas, in 2020, there was an influx of parents that were stressed out because of finances, people losing their jobs. They were dropping their children off in high numbers in Texas. So the fact that they reported a lower number than in 2019, to me, is making me wonder what kind of records they were keeping, because I know for a fact that Dallas, at least in Dallas, children were being dropped off at CPS like crazy. Like literally, you could, there was lines of people were literally dropping their kids off because they couldn't afford to feed them anymore, because everybody had lost their jobs. So for you to record a lower number, and I know for a fact that there was a higher number of people voluntarily dropping their kids off. This wasn't about no reported neglect. This wasn't about any abuse. This wasn't about no home visit. This was parents willfully dropping their children off because they needed assistance because of COVID-19 and they had lost their jobs. So the fact that y'all recorded less is another thing that makes me that brings me some pause, because from what I saw, the number should have been higher than it was in 2019. And the fact that more children came up missing, and like you said, Ross, I agree, that does mean in foster care as well. So who knows? A lot of these children could have came up missing while they were in foster care. And oftentimes that means that they're running away. That happens a lot too. But that's another failure. But that's another failure of foster care system, because if you have a foster child that's going to a home, and one of the main reasons why children run away from foster homes because they don't like the environment. What is happening in this home that you don't like? Are you being abused? Are you being taken care of? Are your basic needs being met? But you would let this family take in another foster child after one foster child has ran away. And I know that happens because I got a friend who did foster care who had a child that ran away from the home. And next month they had another foster child. How? Are you going to research what made this foster child run away before you put another foster child in the care of this individual? Now, I'm not saying this person did anything wrong. I know why the child ran away, but there was no investigation. You just put another child in this home without finding out why the previous child ran away.
Because they automatically assume the child didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be there. They wanted to go home, or they wanted to be somewhere else. So they left. They automatically assume. They never asked the kid. They just assume, okay, well, you don't like the house, so you ran away. Fine. Why ain't they go back and find somebody is what my thing is. Are we scrolling down on this? Or?
Yeah, we can go down some more data. But yeah, 2020 stood out to me because I know for a fact that there were lines of people dropping their babies off, because we was riding around the city, because I was an essential employee, so I was out. And I saw these individuals. I was like, yo, what is going on? Y'all got babies just dropped off on the corners and stuff now at CPS? What is going on? So this is a stat, and of course, they broke this one down by race. Now, again, we talked about the beautiful babies coming up missing or being in the system at higher rates, being taken from home at higher rates. So now what was funny about this is when they listed those the wonderful people, the fair skin, who did call them Anglos?
Anglo-Saxons.
I was like, y'all some Protestants. I
Anglo-Saxons.
didn't know we still call them Anglos. Yeah. So, but if you look at the number of African American children, so in 2020, 558 versus wonderful people, 547. And again, now we only make up 13% of the population. That includes adults. So why is that number of African Americans so high according to the population of African Americans in America? How is that number that high? So even in 2019, where you showed a lower number of African Americans, it's still statistically and by percentage a higher rate that they are being taken out of home. And then look at the Hispanic kids, 829.
Dang.
Right.
So if the Anglos make up what are they, 60% of the population? Why y'all only got 557 of their babies in 2019? They 60% of the population.
That make no
But
sense.
this isn't racially motivated or derived, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
This is the breakdown.
But yeah, you can stop on any time you want to. It's just a lot of data about the missing. I want to go to the trafficking data though. So I don't know how far down it is, but scroll down till you see the trafficking data, because they show data of and I don't think the data was nowhere near what it should have been or inclusive of all. I think those are just ones, like I said, that they kept accurate records on, that somebody could actually pull some stats on. Which one is that? Okay, that's still missing.
That's missing.
That's still missing. Keep going. Now, because you know they put the child trafficking as little information as possible about that child trafficking stuff. They did. It wasn't a lot of the child trafficking
right here. Sex trafficking during the missing.
Okay. So go up then. Yeah. All right. So these are children and youth victimized during missing event. So when a child comes up missing, this is where they end up in either the trafficking rings, whether it be for labor or for sex when they come up missing. So now there's another thing. So you brought up a good point about, foster care is considered CPS and all that too.
Yeah.
So a lot of children do come up missing in foster care. Now, there are reports. There are tons of reports in Texas where there are foster care families that are running trafficking rings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so
that's why they get them kids. That's only why they get them.
Exactly. So at what point in time is CPS investigating these foster families? So if you're a foster family, you take in all these kids, you call yourself, you're a good Samaritan, you're helping all these kids, but kids keep coming up missing under your belt. Where's the investigation at? When are we going to figure out why every time we bring a child over here, some shit happening? They keep coming up missing, whether they're running away or something else is happening. How do you continue to put foster children? These children have already struggled through enough. I don't care if it's that they actually were being abused at home or if they weren't and you stripped them from their home. That in and of itself is enough for a child to have to deal with. Then they get into the foster care system or CPS, and they're being abused, they're not being fed, they're being told to prostitute themselves out. So it's just a cycle of abuse, mental and physical and emotional abuse to these children. But you don't have no problem continuing to place children in homes where there has already been a report of a previous problem in a foster home. So we keep repeating the cycle. We keep abusing these kids, whether it be physically, emotionally, or mentally. You take them from one group home, put them in another, from one foster home, put them in another, and the cycle keeps repeating itself. And I understand there are some children that are being neglected at home. One of the things that's always bothered me about CPS is I don't justify any abuse coming from home. I don't. But at what point in time is the foster care system the better option than what sometimes it is? Because there are some kids that need to be taken away from home. But more often than not, especially when it comes to the disproportionate kids that are coming up taken from home over stuff like ringworms. So if this child ends up in the system and they end up getting abused, raped, trafficked for labor or for sex, neglected, beaten, whatever the case may be, if that's happening, now you've taken a perfectly normal child and you've created trauma in this child's life because you unjustly took them from their home. So whether they were actually being abused at home or not, and you stripped them from a perfectly healthy home environment, how do we continue this cycle with our kids? Why is it that nobody's actually concerned or nobody's really doing anything to protect our babies? At what point in time is it okay for you to have an acceptable number of missing or trafficked kids? How is, and I would like to know what the acceptable number is, because I never got that part of the story. What is an acceptable number if it's not 0?
Listen, there is no acceptable number.
The acceptable number would most likely be an average between all of the, you know what I'm saying? And then they would average it out. So that would be the acceptable number of the average of all of them.
But I'll post the link to this in the description so you all can pull the data, because they break it down. So every category they break down first the number of kids that were impacted by this, then they break it down by age, they break it down by race. And it's mighty funny that the Hispanic babies and the African American babies are disproportionately being affected, and we don't even make up the majority of the population combined. African Americans and Hispanic combined don't make up a majority of the population in America. So how the hell are we the majority population in CPS?
Anything of color they are looking for.
Our tax dollars at work. And I say defund them all. Since y'all want to defund the FBI, I say defund all these government institutions, because we've gone through a lot of government institutions. Name one that's actually beneficial. I'll wait.
See.
WIC.
Girl, please. WIC is no, it's not, because WIC is taking fathers out of homes. Try again.
WIC was beneficial.
They don't have no.
In order for you to get WIC, there cannot be a father in the home. So a struggling family can't get government assistance like that. Not a struggling family.
WIC is for the babies.
They ain't even got no milk right now.
Hold on.
I know. But I'm saying milk is for WIC is for the baby.
No, I know it's for the babies, but who can apply for those benefits? Not families. Families don't get WIC. Single mothers get WIC.
I've known, wait a minute, no, there's some families that get WIC.
I don't know no families that get WIC. I know single mothers that get WIC. I don't know families that get WIC.
They're not, they're struggling families, but I do know.
I don't know families that get WIC. I know single mothers that get WIC.
I do know some mommies and daddies that get it, but they are struggling. They're struggling to get, you know what I'm saying? So they get.
Matter of fact, I have a friend. I have a friend, her and her husband were going through a financial little moment. They didn't want to stay on it forever. They just needed help for a couple of months to get them through. They actually told them no, because the husband was at the home and he was an able-bodied individual. So it may happen in some places, but I don't know families who get WIC. I know single mothers who get WIC.
But again, like you said, able bodies.
I'm over here like I know families that get WIC and they went to their WIC appointment and said they were single mothers.
Maybe that could be it. Maybe that could be it. I'm for real. Maybe that could be it too. I remember them people going. I remember people going. I don't know how the story is told, but I do believe some people do go. But yeah, okay, you're right.
In some places,
right.
I just know that I ain't never heard of it, and I know a friend who, her and her husband, they got 3 kids. They wanted some assistance. They told them no because the husband was an able-bodied individual. They literally told them that. So try again.
You gotta be making little to no income in order for real, like in order for that.
Right. Right. And what does WIC stand for? What does WIC stand for? Women and Infant Care. Families, I don't know a family that gets WIC. I know single mothers who get WIC.
Okay, well maybe that is. He ain't there when we walk in the building. He
Like I said,
he's my brother. He just my brother holding the baby.
The problem with all these government benefits and welfare programs and all this stuff is their goal is to divide the home. In order for you to obtain these services, a man cannot be in the home. Anybody on Section 8, a man cannot be in the home. So those institutions are breaking up families. So why can't a struggling family get assistance? Why do I have to kick dad out the house so I can feed my babies for a month?
It got to go.
Yes, that's how you break it down. That's how you keep them in the system. Otherwise,
Exactly.
get out.
Defund them all. Defund them all. Because ain't none of them working to benefit nobody, and they ain't doing shit but lining their pockets. Defund them all.
That's what they doing. They lining.
They ain't gonna do it until they come up with something that they feel like is better. Somebody else come up with something that's supposed to work better, and then they'll consider removing it to put it towards something else. But it's way too many people that's the Children Protective Services is over. They talk about 100,000 people a day. Yeah, they not
a year.
Did people go? Yeah, 100,000 people.
No, or did he say investigations? I don't know if he said people or investigations or whatever. Oh, that's another thing interesting. So when I put that data thing into the description, another thing is interesting. One of the things they talked about was the trafficking numbers. What's interesting about that is when they broke down the number, as high as that number is, they stated that the number of trafficking incidents is basically an incident and not indicative of a number of individuals, because multiple people can be tied to one report. So I could have one report that involves a school bus full of kids.
Right.
So even the number they report, as high as it is, ain't nowhere near the real number, because those are reports and not number of people that are included in that report.
Absolutely.
So, and I was like, okay, so this is some Democratic style reporting, because they love to make themselves look good. You got to read that fine print, because that was a small asterisk in that report that I have. I was like, hold on. And I thought it was people. And I saw the little asterisk. I was like, wait a minute. So this is reports and not number of people. So one report could be a school bus full of kids, like what's going on at the border. That could be one report. Always making themselves look good.
They're not out here with the best interest of the child.
Absolutely.
Right.
Not at all.
And I don't even think that all of it is intentional. I think that, when children's services workers go in, they really assume that they're getting ready to try to make a difference and try to help change the lives of some of these kids. But
you think parents think that?
No, I think that some of the children's services workers feel that way.
I don't.
Yep, I think that some of them feel that way. They genuinely gonna go in and help, but then they get this big, giant, dumb, retarded caseload of people that come in, and they got all of these cases, and they can't finish 10 cases that they were supposed to be doing for the day.
But you know, Roxy, that bothers me too. I get it, your caseload is high, but if you're actually in Child Protective Services because you want to help children, if I decide to work for Child Protective Services because I want to help the kids, just like you, Anissa, you work countless hours helping the kids, right? Do you ever complain or decide to slack because, oh, my workload is too high? If it's about the kids, you don't complain about your damn workload. You help the damn kids because you're supposed to be passionate about helping kids. You're supposed to want to help the kids. You're supposed to have a desire to help the kids. Your nurturing instinct should kick in for the females in CPS and DFPS.
Yes.
They don't.
But if all you're doing is complaining about your workload, maybe you're in the wrong damn profession. Maybe
no, they're there for the check because they pay for all that schooling.
They need to be working at Walmart ringing up damn groceries.
And Biden ain't gave them that money off of them student loans.
Wait. They can't take away the elderly people's Walmart worker jobs. Okay, thank you. Hold on, because
the elderlies are the greeters. They ain't gotta be no greeters.
They're greeters.
Walmart hire people that just walk around and smart. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in Walmart, which is why I don't fool with them now. All the employees walk. Girl, I remember one time I was in Walmart and asked somebody, where could I find something? Because it wasn't where I thought it would be. You know that fool told me this ain't my department? Motherfucker, in automotive? What do you mean this ain't your department? It's Walmart. Everything in this damn department.
That's what I said. Now, I said that, and I said, well, if this ain't your department, go get your ass to your department so then I don't have to ask you no damn more.
Girl, they just be walking around in the smart. They ain't got no registers open but 100 employees in a Walmart smart.
Listen, them jobs.
So if you don't, but go back to the CPS. If you complain about your workload, go get you a Walmart Smart where you can walk around for 8 hours and do absolutely nothing.
They not providing a company car and paying for gas and no, they ain't doing that. The Walmart ain't got the benefits like they need at Children's Services.
So they ain't there for the kids.
Period.
Defund them all.
Just like them group homes, not holding themselves accountable, not holding the kids accountable, not taking care of the kids, not feeding the kids. Them foster homes, the residential individual homes. If you're not taking care of the kid, you got too many kids, you neglecting, abusing, and fondling them kids, you ain't for them kids.
Not at all. Totally agree.
So we have talked about Children's Services and the disservices that they are doing to our young people. Not taking care of the business that need to be taken care of, and utilizing our tax dollars and our government funded assistance and Medicaid in order to be able to fund their charades and not take care of the kids and then leave them out here missing and deceased.
Or trafficked.
Which is
even... And that was another thing that was in the data too. Didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah. So the majority of girls are being sex trafficked, and the boys are being labor trafficked.
So that was the separation.
Yeah. So the majority of the boys that come up missing are trafficked for labor, and the girls are trafficked for sex more often than not. Defund them all.
Y'all better stop.
I don't like the idea of my tax dollars funding a sex trafficking ring. I'm not okay with that.
Right.
Anybody okay with that? As far as I'm concerned, let me be quiet before I get us kicked off of YouTube. Let me be quiet.
So with that being said, we're gonna have to catch up with y'all another day, another time.
Make sure y'all check us out here every Thursday night at 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 Central. Definitely like, share, follow us on YouTube at Melanated and Candid.
Don't forget, what's tomorrow? Anybody in the chat? Hold on. Anybody in the chat? What's tomorrow?
Dana?
What's tomorrow?
Dana?
DNA 826. Get tested. 826 is National Women's Equality Day. And so what better way to leverage this family court conversation than to get rid of the mama's baby, daddy's maybe mantra? And let's find out for sure if we're actually taking care of our children. If the child you're bringing up is actually yours too. Because you got a lot of people in the melanated community that's talking about wealth and trying to build generational wealth. You're talking about reparations. So you're talking about legacies, but nobody's talking about lineage. Go get tested. And it's going to hurt. I promise you. This is going to be a hard conversation for a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all ain't going to be happy with the results, but it's a necessary pain. Please go get tested. Every man, woman, and child, please go get DNA tested and know for sure. Couldn't leave the show without saying that. Tomorrow is 826. Get DNA tested.
Period. All right, y'all. That'll wrap it up. Now, y'all have a good evening.
Hey.